Hey YouTube, welcome to Hangover Sunday. I was out with my pals last night drinking. I actually put some video up in the middle there. I haven't actually checked how bad it actually was. Had a wee bit of a jam around at my pal's house. First time been on the bucky for... Well, I've been sipping bucky on a regular, not regular, what's the word I'm looking for? No, like a sedate and relatively sensible measure over the last 4 months, occasionally having a wee half bottle sort of an evening when I'm sitting talking to somebody online or something like that. But this was a proper get tanked and play guitars for the first time in 4 months or 5 months. And by chance on Friday night, one of my other pals who couldn't make it last night was like, "Oh, do you want to hit bucky?" So 2 nights in a row drinking. I've just been sorting out my pedals. I managed to spill a can of stuff called Dragon Soup, which is kind of like your Rockstar-y type stuff, so it's super mega sticky, apart from it's got alcohol in it. Like an entire can all over all my pedals, like, yay! So that's what I get for having folk round. Everyone worked okay, just had to put it back together again. He did try and wipe it down. So what's this? Did this last week, a sort of question and answer type thing. There's questions on YouTube. I don't think there's really that many. Maybe if you could, if you're got ideas for what I should be talking about, maybe just comment one of the videos and I'll get round to it. Maybe comment in this one if there's something that's maybe a little bit more, it takes a little bit more than like a couple of sentences to answer whatever question it was. I think there's a couple from this week, but yeah. So this week's Telly Tuesday was the Malcocaster, which I've been playing today, and it's fun. The camera messed up a minute ago, so there's actually already a backtrack in. I'm not going to play guitar today. That was just because I was enjoying it. I think, talking about this again, I think it was really just, it's got a really nice neck on it, a really nice feeling neck, and a Telecaster you can get away with having 2 bits of wood nailed together as long as you put everything in the right place and secure it properly. I didn't have all the parts for this when I made it, so I didn't have like things like screws to hold the pickups in, so they're just screwed straight onto the body. And this isn't actually a Telecaster pickup. It's broken as well, which it wasn't when I built it. So that's just screwed straight onto the body as well. None of this stuff's adjustable. But all the parts are there and you end up with a quite a good guitar. Yeah, so this week, Telly Tuesday was this. Also, I did a video of this Marlin bass. I had a black one. The reason I bought this isn't mine. I borrowed this off my pal. I was going to buy it, but there was a drive to Edinburgh during the lockdown, and I figured that was pushing it a bit. I can't really justify that to myself, like an hour and a half round trip, maybe more than that, to pick up a guitar when we're all meant to be locked down. Luckily, my pal was working in Edinburgh, so he just picked it up on his way home one day. So this is actually for sale. He's wanting, he'd maybe swap for a P bass. He's mad into his P basses and jazz basses, so maybe if you got something like that, there might be something I can hook you up. He's never used eBay. I told him to put it on eBay because that's what I did with the guitar version. I put it on eBay. I buy it now, and somebody bought it. Well, a wee bit of haggle. I buy it now, our best offer. A wee bit of haggling, sold it. I think it's off to London or something like that. My thinking with doing that for that guitar was, I think that guitar wasn't necessarily for somebody who wanted, like just a beginner guitar to play on. That was one that somebody wanted that one because I didn't actually talk to the guy. Didn't actually talk to me. The guy who bought it, but I'd imagine he probably had one when he was younger, or something like that, or maybe he collects BBRs or one of these things. So it's like you obviously go into eBay, you get the whole of UK, so it's a much bigger target buying potential. The downside, of course, being that you have to pay, you know, fees, postage, and hassle with whether it arrives right. And I've now got to print out the label and all that stuff. So that's why I'm normally just selling Facebook. But for something that's a bit obscure, like something, if I was going to try and sell a washburn or something like that, I wouldn't bother putting it on Facebook, because the chances of other people knowing what these things are and paying premium rates, hopefully, for them, you've got much bigger net to cast. So this one I really like. The guitar's away. I think when I did a video of this, it was literally 10 minutes before I had the packaging already for the guitar. So I did a very quick video of this, so I could hold the guitar and have them both in the same room at the same time, which is probably the first time since they've been together since 1986. I was looking at the serial numbers. This one's a 200786 and the guitar was 200 something else 86. I wonder if the 86 at the end is 1986, because they're both 86. Because 86 is about when I would think this was. I think I might have said 88 before, but it's kind of within the ballpark. I'd imagine it would be after Washburn did them, and Washburn did them in 84, 85. So this would be like sort of copying the idea of having the red and the black. But this is a really good bass that I'm still wanting somebody else to buy, so I don't end up with it, because I really like it. I think it's stunning, especially with this wee extra bit, which is just what makes it for me. Also, I kind of like the general aesthetic of the Marlins that I've got, like the fish on the 12th fret, and this one's got a fish here, like a Marlin. I quite like that. And someone was asking me for updates on my Vulture bass, which, if you remember, it was hanging up on the wall up there. I did an unboxing for it. It's been badly painted red. I've been working on it now. So what I've been doing is been sitting with the white spirit and a scouring, like a dishcloth thing, the wee spongy thing with a rough side, one of them on it. And I've now done the back and this side. I've still got this side and the top to do. I'm doing the top last because that's going to be the most exciting bit. It just took ages. I sat and watched pretty much all of our 5 episodes of The Mandalorian while I was just sitting clearing away at it, and I think it will polish up quite well. But can you imagine somebody, obviously it's a through neck, imagine someone taking that beautiful guitar and deciding, I'm just going to paint the whole thing matte red. What people did in the 80s was just mad in this, but I think guitars in general, or basses, were just much rarer. Just now we've got an absolutely ridiculous amount of good giggable guitars you can pick up for a couple £100, whereas back, probably when this was due, this is 79, so let's say this got painted mid-80s, something like that. Back then you didn't really have that. You couldn't pick up a guitar that worked for under £100. That just didn't happen. I'm talking about second hand as well. So if you wanted a red one, you had to paint it. Plus there was no eBay and all that stuff, so it's just whatever the guitar shop that was local to you stocked was your only chance. And if you managed to get a second hand one, it would be from a wee rack of half a dozen second hand trade-ins. There was absolutely no way you could pick and choose whether, I want a Washburn. Good luck. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting this one going. I've actually hurt my back. Didn't hurt it, I've just bruised something from just like that. So I'll do that again at some point this week and hopefully get this up and running by the weekend. I've still got quite a lot to clean. It's got all brass hardware, so I need to brasso that up and get it all shiny. And this is going to be an absolute stunner. It's going to look like that one. This is basically the bass version of that, apart from obviously it's a sunburst. I'm just hoping beyond hope that the top, it's not hiding something. I was worried that there was going to be a neck repair because the whole neck had been painted red, and it's not. And then I'm now thinking, is there some reason why it's been painted? I don't know what's in below this paint. I hope it's not been sanded down to the bare wood. I hope it's still like this, because Japanese guitars from this era have got like super thick poly coating. So I'm hoping that this will polish up to be proper super shiny. Even though I don't think it looks that bad just now, it kind of looks like it's meant to be like that. It's not. It's meant to be pure super gloss. But that was just like a quick go with the pledge to get it back to that, and it's like it's acceptable. I'll take it. Yeah. So that. What else have I got this week? This week there's coming up a video of this, which is an Aria the Cat, or Aria Pro 2 the cat. I started stringing it yesterday, but someone came round and ended up chatting away, and it sat since yesterday. I haven't done it today. This morning, I'm just back from my pal's house because we went down to his house and last night did the jam with the P bass, and because I was pissed, I left my camera and the microphone. So yeah. So this got a Kalar, the cat. It's a Korean one. Very interesting because I've been sort of knocking Korean guitars quite a lot. And I've got this one and this isn't mine, it's just been getting restrung, set up a little bit. And I'm saying that, Korean's not as good as Japan. I think that's just more snobbery. I don't think that really mattered in 1986 when this was about. I think the Korean stuff was pretty much as good as the Japanese. It's just obviously now, having Japan on it, it's like your status symbol of, Japan, rather than it being Korean. And it's like... but this looks really good. It's actually got an American Kalar in it. Seems to be full of Kalars this week. It's like things always seem to come in groups. I've said this before, like when I got a Flying V. It's like, I've not seen a Flying V for a couple of years, and then I've got like 4 in a month. Same thing's happened with Kalars. I've not seen Kalars for ages, and I had that Marlin, and I've got this one, and my pal who was over yesterday and interrupted me with why this string's not broken, I just haven't actually put it on yet. I was at that much at that stage in the process. So even though I'm really hungover, I can pretty much manage restringing a guitar. I think doing any major surgery in that's probably a bit off the cards for today. So next week there will be the Cat review. Interesting, I'm going to do a comparison with this and my Mega Metal guitar, which is this shape. This is an Aria RS shape based on it. The one Yngwie Malmsteen signature model. My pal Wayne's got one. It doesn't have a scratch plate, but it's this outline. So it's a kind of interesting one, and the Mega Metal is this outline again, and it's black, and I think it's got a different headstock. It's pointy, I think, but it's Japanese, so that's what I'm thinking. This seems better than the Japanese one, so we'll see how we get on with that. I've also got the Nick's Buckycaster, which I might actually do a video before we do it. Just put another Marlin. This is obviously a later on Marlin's, got some big chips out it, just a cheap Strat copy. I've had one of these before. I had one of the other Buckfaster casters was this, and it was sort of Barbie pink, and I painted it green. So this one needs a bit of filler, bit of painting, and then buckified, really. But it seems to work okay. Very different from the Marlin of the State of the Art series. This, I would imagine, is at some point in the 90s, where it's very cheaply built, but the parts that they have built, they spent the money on the right bits. It's got a decent tuners on it, decent thing. They didn't spend any money putting the logo on. It's like, nah. So don't bother, you just print black Marlin, that's it, done. Things like putting the fish in the fretboard must cost money somewhere, so rather than do that, they've just spent the money on making sure the actual parts of it work. And these guitars are pretty good. It's just like they suffer a little bit from having a pointy headstock, because people don't want a pointy headstock one. You can see from miles away that it's not a Fender or a Squier because it's pointy headstock, but it'll be good. They're a good Buckycaster. Yeah, so what else is coming up this week? I got my pal James was over. I've mentioned this guy before. Since the guy that I thought I had the biggest Washburn collection in the world, and then maybe not if in the world, in Europe, and maybe not if in Europe, maybe in Britain, and if not in Britain, in Scotland, if not Scotland, Glasgow. And then it turned out there's a guy who's actually got more Washburns than me, who lives about 2 miles away. Like, yep. So he'd given me this, which is very interesting, as in just what is it to do a video on. The jury's still out of exactly what this is. It's not a Washburn stage series, because it's not quite the right shape, but it's very similar to it. It's like everyone's just not quite right. This bit should be curved, and this should be more angled down the way and stuff. I think, sitting here just now, I'm not sure if maybe somebody's tried to build a Washburn stage series from like a photo of somebody playing it live, so maybe it's like a live photo of somebody playing it at this angle or something, so they've kind of guessed a little bit. It seems to be quite a well-built guitar. It's pretty cool. As soon as I saw it, I was like, wow, stage with one pickup, that's awesome. I'm not sure exactly what it is, so I'll dig into that a little bit and clean it up and see if we can work out what it is. Really don't know. He also gave me a wing which I've been wanting a shot of for a while. This is like I said, the guy who collects Washburns. He's got another wing which I don't have. Well, I sort of have it. This is a Falcon. From 1983. So this is after Yamaki started building them. Actually, someone on the Washburn fan page the other day was saying, "Oh, yeah, there's definitely the Yamaki ones are inferior to the later on ones," and it's like, no, wrong way around, totally. I mean, this is a Falcon, yes, but if you compare this to this one, you know, you can see that yeah, which one cost twice as much to build as the other one did. And it's like, yeah. These ones, I think actually, the guys, I don't know if they'd ever actually seen pictures of these ones, but obviously when he was round, he was looking at them going like, "Pero," when you'd see them up close, they do look. I mean, so when I'm raving about how amazing these guitars look, the photos and stuff don't really do them justice. When you see them in person, they just look, wow. You know, you go into a modern guitar shop, there's one of them sitting there, polished up, it's the best looking guitar in the shop. So in 1983 they'd moved these things around a little bit, so it's like a flat top, different manufacturers now set next. So I'll be fixing this up and doing a video for it, and another Caller, which, as I said, Callers seem to be coming at me for some reason this month. What thing I was most interested in with this, which I've not really done a direct comparison, is, so this is a Falcon, it actually says so on the, but I've got my Hawk, which I've been calling a Black Hawk just because it's black. So the Hawk is, if you look on the wall there, that's the original Hawk, that's the original Falcon, and then 1983, 1984, that's a Hawk, and that's a Falcon, and there's very little difference between them. This one, the one with the Caller on it, it's been fitted later because it's got the through hole, so I reckon this was just a hardtail and this was a tremolo one. But apart from that, not a hell of a lot of difference between a Hawk and a Falcon, really. So it's kind of, I'm just wondering how much difference in price there was. You know, it's like, was it £100 more expensive to buy a Falcon? And it's like, okay, it's got slightly bigger, the Hawk's got slightly smaller fret dots, and the Falcon has binding on the headstock. The Hawk does have binding on the neck as well, it's just on this it's white, on this it's black. This one seems to have more binding, but this one is just because the inner line of the binding is black, so it's kind of pretty much exactly the same guitar. So I'm going to have fun doing a comparison with them. I think that's me kind of out of interesting new guitars for this week. Have a wee look at the. I'm just putting. Am I putting this on? I'm not putting that in. Right. I'll just dump it. Yeah. So having a look at my questions for this week. This won't take very long. I don't think there was really that many super interesting ones. So if you can add more to it, it'd be great. What have I done? Most recent one. His name was Tuco from Breaking Bad. I did watch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, so it's possible I was talking about it in the Telly Tuesday Fender Teleacoustic video, which I have no idea why I would mention that. But I mean, so if you watch that, you know, the guy's name was Tuco I was talking about for whatever reason I was talking about that. Someone had an Electra Dynasty, yeah, like, telling me it's got push-pull pots on it, which mine didn't because it didn't have any electrics in it. I did put them in it though. They were like, Westtone in that era were very into having lots of switching options, the sort of things I put into Bucky casters. You know, because it was HSH and it had a coil split which split both the humbuckers. It had a button that turned on the middle pickup, and then it had another one that reversed the phase of the middle pickup. You know, so you'd end up with, I don't know how many sounds that is, 10, 15, something like that, instead of what you would normally expect is 3 or 5. Alright, that's right, the P-Bass. The P-Bass was funny, it was good fun playing it. Video was a little bit, I kind of knew it was going to happen. I was playing through a wee PV practice amp, and we'd already set up and we were already all drinking. I did the video when I'm talking about it, sitting for 5 minutes, which was really quite odd. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that again. When I'm talking to you, whoever you are, all of you, just now, it's different than when there's actually people in the room. It's funny, it's kind of like, I don't know, like playing guitar in front of somebody for the first time, proper live. It doesn't seem to bother me doing it in here though. Yeah, so the P-Bass is hilarious. I'd like to think it was my idea, but I can't remember. I don't know whether it was my idea or whether it was Peg's idea, because his name's Peg, so a capital P suits him fine. at the time, like 10 years ago, he didn't have a bass and he was looking for a bass for recording, so I thought, why not? Do you want to make me one that's silly? And then whoever it came from, I'll take 50% of the credit for inventing a P bass in the shape of a giant P, which really the comedy says it all. I don't think it really needed to be a very big review of it, because basically that's the joke and it's done. Marco, can you give us a special on your semi-acoustics? I can't really, because I've only got one, and it's the one that I would show you just now, but the camera's sitting on it. It's a Yamaha AEX 520, sort of mini humbuckers, a guitar that I didn't expect to like, because I'm not really that much of a fan of semi-hollow guitars. I've had a few sort of 335 shaped guitars, and I don't know whether it's just an irrational hatred of Oasis makes me not like them. I think it's probably partly to do with it, but just, I don't know, the semi-hollow, I like the idea of it, but never really played one apart from that Yamaha, which really did anything for me. And it's not really, so no, I can't really do a video. What I might do is I might stick a playlist of all the ones I've had up. So I've probably maybe half a dozen have gone through my hands of various 335 copies. I had a couple of Tele thin lines. I've actually got a Tele thin line in the attic that's in bits that I need to put back together again, but didn't really do anything for me. Folk just laughing at the P bass, which is what it's for. They're not laughing at me, but they are laughing at me, or they're laughing with me, because the P bass was meant to be silly. I'd love to see a case for the P bass. It's like, that would be fun. I'll give you a big note for that. That's right, I totally forgot about the big note. That was what was good about having Peg there in the room with me. I'd forgotten that when we took his car back to his car, whatever it was uneconomical to repair. It like needed a gearbox or something like that. So I towed it down to the scrapyard with him, and the guy's like, I'll give you a big note. And we made big like that. But what the hell's a big note? Big note's £100. It's brilliant. So I'm going to try it. I've been meaning to try and use that, but I don't think I've really used it very much in the last 10 years. So now I'm going to try and sell some guitars for a big note. I like it. Yeah. Not really that interesting. Force 40, right? So this is my new Force 8 bass. I was saying there was another one. There was Force 2 and 3 and 4. 2 and 3 were guitars, being a 2 pickup, humbuckery one, and a single coily Stratty one for the 3. There's a Force 4, which is basically that without binding, and then there's Force 8, which has binding, and the other one is a Force 40, which I think is just a Force 4, but it's got like either 2 pickups or pickups and some sort of active EQ thing in it. So that's, I think, all the Force of that era range covered. Actually, I think one of the reasons my pal came over yesterday, the other Washburn guy, was to do with that, because he very nearly bought it and he was quite pleased that it had gone, because he was sorely tempted to buy one. He's got a Force 8, but his is the BBR one, which is the same colour as if I've just put 3 guitars on top of it, that Marlin, so it'd be black pickup, black body, red binding. It must have binding on the neck, I think, as well. So basically all black and red. He's got the version of that, the Force 8 bass, which is rather nice. So that's when you say you make guitars, I heard you say before, could you make a guitar cab to order? Unfortunately, I've already answered this, but unfortunately not really, because I don't have the same amount of room I used to have. I built a couple of cabs. The one that's below that you can't see, I built, it's just dead hard to cut plywood or whatever it is you're cutting in big lines. I used to have a table saw, and it was like, just run it through, but you need to think what a table saw is. You need like a whole half garage to cut up a piece of plywood. It just makes a difference when I was at work. I could steal bits of wood and stuff. Not steal, it was my dad's company, so I was borrowing. I told him I was taking them to make stuff like that, so I can't really make cabinets, just purely down to not having the wood lying about and not really having enough room to make them. So no, I can't really make cabinets, sorry. I think that might be, let's just back down to the Malcocaster. Someone asking where I was from. Say I mentioned a little bit like Neil Oliver, which wouldn't have bothered me a few years ago, but now Neil Oliver's a big no-no, because of his he did some really bad campaigning for the United Kingdom, where he basically lied a shitload, and the guy's sold dick, totally can't stand the guy. I wouldn't punch him, if I ever saw him, because I wouldn't punch anybody, but I wouldn't talk to him. I would just yuck. Yeah, so not a Neil Oliver fan. My mum used to say I look like him actually. Maybe I do, but I don't. I'm not like him at all. I think that might be not really. The comments are not really particularly questiony ones. Someone asking about the MIDI guitar. I still play it every now and again, just trying to learn it. It does so many things I can't really grasp. I can't use it properly. What I really need to do is spend a couple of months totally fixated on working out everything it can do, so I can use it to its advantage. Every time I turn it on, it's like, oh look, it does this as well, and it's like there's a new thing. Someone said that they're talking, people asking about the neck on the Malcocaster. I can't remember what make it was. It wasn't a Squire. Someone said it was a Squire. Someone said Richwood might have been. I don't know. I can't remember. I did play the neck on the guitar before I got donated the neck. And whatever colour it was, it looked really bad. It looked really orange and artificial on like a 50s style Telecaster. It looked really bad. And then, but when I stuck it onto the two planks of wood, it looks really good. And now I'm used to it. So maybe it's just I wasn't used to it at the time. Someone suggested I painted it. Anyway, we're back to last week's Sunday Q&A. So yeah, so this was, there you go, 25 minutes of just talking and not playing any guitar. Got plenty to do, but being a bit hungover, I just can't really be bothered doing anything. I'm going to string that the Cat guitar. I think this might be one of your super underlooked gems. You can pick these up for not very much money considering what they are. They're a sort of sorry, that was me holding it by the strap button. It's a sort of strange shape. It's not really. It's basically a sort of. Is that a Strat? Kind of. Quite funky looking. You can sort of see that it's whoever it was designed this also designed West Tones, because it was the same factory. You know, Matsumoku had their own research and development department. That's why they had all the mad switches and stuff in them, because they had an office with folk just designing them from scratch. And something to do with the curves, and this kind of has got a slight West Tony look. Even though this isn't a Matsumoku guitar, the way you can tell is it doesn't say made in Japan on the neck plate. The one I've got, the Mega Metal, you would think being a Mega Metal, it's going to be whoa, it's like it's going to look like a BC Rich, and it doesn't. It basically looks like this, and it sounds like a Strat. So it's kind of, the Mega Metal thing doesn't really, although it's a really cool name, it doesn't suit that particular guitar. It's like Mega Metals really should be like an Explorer or a Warlock, or something that makes it a bit more metal. Then again, maybe that doesn't apply when you're talking about 1986, 1987. You didn't really get heavy metal in 1986 was Judas Priest, I suppose Motorhead, but you didn't have Slayer and down tuning and whatever all that kind of music is, which isn't really my thing. Yeah, so I might actually do a video for this later on tonight and then just put it up during the week. I've got to give it back to the owner. But I wanted to get this out of the way, and I quite like the idea of doing the talkie thing. I quite enjoyed doing it, and I thought people watched it, so I don't think nobody was really that abusive about it. I don't get very much abuse. It's nice on eBay, on YouTube. Everyone seems to be nice. It's the kind of, if you're kind of watch it, you don't like it, don't you? You just turn it off, as opposed to there's not really any point in being sarcastic or offensive, really. I'll just block you. I've had to block a couple of people over the last 8 years or whatever it is I've been doing it, but only a couple, just folk who are bored, I think. Like, oh, there's a guy there, oh, fucking your haircut's pure stupid, you look like, really? Yeah, okay, so this week, this will be a highlight of the week. I will also maybe eventually get down to doing a video of my new blue guitar. I'm trying to get a strap for it. I've got a red one on it just now. The red kind of makes it look a bit like Superman, Rangers and the Union Jack, and not really keen on any of those things really, so I'm going to have to do something, maybe just find a strap somewhere. Blue straps aren't actually that easy to find. I was looking them up and it's like, alright, there was one I really liked, a Levy's one that's kind of like blue with white lightning bolts on it, but it's 20 quid, and I paid 20 quid for a strap. I think I've got no problem with people paying 20 quid for a strap for a guitar if you've got like 2 or 3 guitars, but not if you've got millions of them like I do. So I like having a strap on every one, but I'm not paying 20 quid for a strap. Rock and roll. Have a good week.